Right now, somewhere on Earth, someone is scoring a goal. A kid in a dusty street is dreaming of becoming the next Ronaldo. A stadium is exploding with noise, thousands of voices screaming at once. Billions of people on every continent are obsessed with the exact same game. And here's the strange part. If you track down the one person history credits with inventing it, he wouldn't recognize what you're watching. He wasn't trying to build a global obsession. He was just trying to end an argument. So who actually invented football? The honest answer is nobody did. Not one person, not one country. And the real story is stranger and much older than any single inventor. But here's where it gets even stranger. The answer doesn't begin in England. It doesn't even begin in Europe. It begins over 2,000 years ago, on the other side of the world, in China, during the Han Dynasty. Soldiers played a game called cuju. The name literally means kickball. They used only their feet, never their hands, and the goal was to send a leather ball through a small opening in a net, mounted almost 30 feet in the air. It wasn't entertainment first. It was military training, a way to keep soldiers sharp between battles. It worked so well that it later spread into the royal court, becoming a pastime for emperors. In 2004, FIFA itself officially recognized this as the earliest ancestor of the sport you watch today. Now, you'd expect that game to have simply traveled west until it became what we know now. But it didn't, because almost everywhere humans lived, something eerily similar showed up completely on its own. The Greeks had a version, so did the Romans, and by the Middle Ages, a much rougher cousin had taken over English and French towns, and it looked nothing like a sport at all. It was called mob football. Two entire villages, sometimes hundreds of people, would fight to drag an inflated pig's bladder across town. Through streets, fields, rivers, whatever stood in the way. There were no real rules, no referees, no field boundaries, just chaos. And it wasn't just chaotic, it was genuinely dangerous. Broken bones were common, people occasionally died. Kings tried to ban it more than once, worried it was distracting young men from archery practice, which mattered a lot more when your kingdom might be invaded any day. One of the very first times the word football ever appeared in writing was in the year 1314 in an official London decree. And that document wasn't celebrating the game. For centuries, that's all football ever was. Not a sport with rules, but a controlled riot that happened to involve a ball. Which raises the real question. How does a violent street brawl turn into a game with referees, a clock, and offside rules? The answer isn't ancient, and it isn't dramatic. It happened quietly in a London pub on October the 26th, 1863. Representatives from 12 different football clubs showed up that night, and every single one of them played by different rules. Some allowed players to catch the ball and run with it. Some allowed players to trip or kick an opponent's shins to stop them, a move they actually called hacking. Every match started with an argument about whose rulebook to use. One man had had enough of it. His name was Ebenezer Cobb Morley, a London solicitor, and the captain of a small club called Barnes. He wrote to the newspapers proposing something simple, one shared rulebook for everyone. That night, the clubs voted on two questions that would define football forever. Should players be allowed to carry the ball with their hands? And should hacking, that shin-kicking move, be allowed? They said no to both. One club, Blackheath, was furious. They believed removing hacking would strip the game of its toughness, and they walked out entirely. That single walkout, over one disagreement, is the exact moment football and rugby split into two separate sports, forever. What was left behind became the Football Association, the first organization in history with one universal rulebook. And here's the detail almost nobody notices. Football wasn't made great by adding something new. It was made great by taking something away. By banning violence, not inventing skill. Football wasn't created in a single day by a single mind. It survived because every generation, in every country, changed it just enough to keep it alive. The game filling stadiums tonight isn't one person's invention. It's humanity's longest-running argument, passed down for 2,000 years, generation after generation, until the violence finally lost, and what remained became the world's favorite game.